So I wanted to get to this story from a few days ago because this was probably the most disturbing story that I've heard in a while. This was something where timing was everything. And shout out to the Uber driver who had tipped off police just in the nick of time so that they could get there. They had been a couple of seconds later, man. This young child might be dead now. A father, they're reporting, was drowning his child in a tub, and the police got there and kicked the door down just as he was, trying to kill his kid. He was interrupted, they said, by Chicago cops, tipped off by a suspicious Lyft driver. I'm sorry, it was Lyft, not Uber. And this is being reported by CWB Chicago. They said, tipped off by the Lyft driver, the Chicago police kicked down a man's apartment door and stopped him as he tried to drown his 2-year-old son in the bathtub, according to prosecutors. So Jeremiah Campbell, he's 29. He's being held without bail on charges of attempted murder and for violating probation in a 2021 domestic battery case involving the boy's mother. So the Lyft driver had given this guy a ride, and as soon as he dropped Campbell and the kid off over at his home at 10 a.m. on August 25th, he called 911. And the reason he called 911 was because this dude had been talking in the car about some very messed up stuff. So in the 911 call, the driver said that he was concerned about things the father said while riding in his car. He said, quote, talking about conspiracies and drowning his son as a sacrifice to Jehovah, according to the police report. So I don't know what this guy's religious beliefs were, but Jehovah is the Jewish name, for God in the Bible. And according to Jews, Christians, everybody, like, killing a kid is obviously way against the rules. So around the time of the driver's call, 911 operators received another call from a man reporting that his 2-year-old son had drowned in the bathtub at the same address that the Lyft driver gave. So this was over on the east side. And after getting no answer to knocks on the doors, the Chicago police officers peered into the apartment windows and saw a man bending over a bathtub and making suspicious movements. The cops immediately forced the apartment door open, believing that they were witnessing a drowning in progress. As soon as they entered, the report said, Campbell pulled the 2-year-old from the bathtub. Coughs, they said, could be heard coming from the boy who was coughing up water, according to the police report. They handed the boy off to paramedics, took him to a hospital for treatment, and thankfully he was okay. Prosecutors said that Campbell was with the boy even though an active order of protection barred him from being with the kid. So the judge gave him no bail. He's charged with attempted first-degree murder, child endangerment, and violating an order of protection. He's on a 36-month probation for an April 2021 incident involving the boy's mother and a man who tried to intervene in domestic altercation, according to the court records. So the Chicago police report documented that that incident said the couple was arguing about child support when Campbell shoved her head first into a wall and pulled her from a bed by both feet, causing her to land on the floor on her back. I don't know if there was any kind of indication of this type of behavior when, she was initially like meeting this guy, But ladies, however you might feel about a guy, these type of red flag, like the type of stuff that he was doing here, usually the guys aren't doing that like, beforehand, giving them stuff that obvious. But a lot of times there's little stuff that they're showing and saying, stuff that other people may have said about them and bad experiences they've had with them that can give you a tip off. This behavior, a lot of times, it doesn't just come out of the blue. So you gotta choose wisely, you know what I'm saying? So when a man tried to break the couple up, Campbell bit his nose, tearing flesh from the man's nostril and biting 2 fingers. Okay, he's also threatened to kill both victims with a knife that he took from the kitchen, but his wife persuaded him to put the blade down. He pled guilty to aggravated battery, causing great bodily harm and domestic battery in November of 2021. So the news reports didn't say anything about the kid suffering brain damage or anything like that. So thankfully the kid's okay, because that oxygen deprivation, it doesn't have to be that long. And even if the person doesn't die, if it's like for a few minutes, they can suffer permanent brain damage. So hopefully that child won't have anything like that. It looks like the police have gotten there just in time. And again, shout out to that Lyft driver for tipping them off. That was critical. And a lot of people, they say, well, it's none of my business, what's going on. I don't want to get involved in other people's situations. No, man. If somebody's talking about hurting a kid, anybody who's in the vicinity, it's your duty as a human being. You know what I'm saying? It's your duty as a human being to intervene in that. Kids cannot defend themselves from this type of stuff. So, it is your business. Like, it's everybody's business what's going on with kids, and if somebody's trying to hurt a kid or even talking about hurting a kid. So shout out to that Lyft driver, man. And One other incident that I wanted to talk about that happened a few days ago. This was kind of a controversial thing that happened on the West Side involving dogs. And I'm an animal lover, man. And when dogs are hurt or dogs are killed, that it touches a nerve. There's conflicting stories about what happened. So one person they said is in custody after a dog was shot, and three Chicago police officers were bitten on Sunday morning. Police said it happened in the West Garfield Park neighborhood just after 11:20 a.m. They were conducting an investigation over in the West Garfield Park neighborhood on the west side when a female offender whose age was not immediately known tried to intervene. That's when an unknown person unleashed two dogs, according to police. Now, the people give a different story. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Three cops suffered dog bites, and one officer opened fire, striking one of the dogs. Okay, now they said in the media, a very different story is being told by those who live on the block. A woman who lives next door to the dog's owner said that police, who had just detained one of her sons, walked through the neighbor's property when he and the dogs came outside to see what was happening. Now, if you guys know about dogs, they're very fiercely territorial and protective, okay, of their owners, of the property and everything. And I'm walking down the block on my own block. These dogs have seen me a million times. They know my scent. They're still barking like crazy, and I hear them barking at other people and stuff. Like, they just, even if they're little and they have no chance against whoever they're barking at, they still bark, and they still charge at people and do all type of stuff, man. And the dog owners, that's on them to keep the dogs locked up, because dogs can get themselves hurt. But anyways, they said when the dogs came outside, the police got aggressive. They said, quote, "Get the dogs, get the dogs." So this is according to, the woman on the block. She said they're grabbing the dogs. There were two dogs there. They're all grabbing the dogs. The dogs never got aggressive with these officers. That's according to a witness. The dog, they said, did not one time go after the officer to bite him or anything like that. No, he did not. That officer just pulled out his gun and shot twice. Okay, now, this is not something that we have to wonder about, because the people at the hospital can confirm whether or not there were actual dog bites on the officers. Okay, so the people at the hospital know what happens. A dog bite is not something that you can fake. So if there were dog bites on the cops, okay, then this woman's story is not correct. The officers were telling the truth. If there were not, then the cops made the whole thing about being bitten up. So the people at the hospital know. Okay, so anyways, they did go to the hospital for this and get checked out. So they must have had something going on, because if they just walked in there with no scratches on them, the people at the hospital would be able to expose that as a lie. So I don't know, but the shooting took place in an alley behind the dog owner's home. His neighbor said the dog was shot in the face and was taken to animal care and control, but it's not clear what the dog's condition is. So the Chicago Fire Department said the three cops were transported to Mount Sinai, and the Chicago Fire Department originally said the cops were in serious condition, but police later clarified that they are in good condition. So CPD said one woman is in custody and charges are pending. It's not clear what role police believe she played in the incident. So dogs typically they typically do get very aggressive with everybody that's coming that they don't recognize. And dogs go on the scent, you know what I'm saying? If they smell something they don't recognize, another dog, whatever it might be, they will protect their owners with their life. So that's on the owner. That's the owner's responsibility, because the dog is just being a dog. Like, the dogs, they operate on instinct. They're not saying, okay, this is a police officer, I have to chill. No. And one thing about dog owners, guys, that they have to understand, okay, the way your dog is, this is to all the dog owners out there. The way he is with you is not the way he is with other people, because your dog is the one that could get killed for this, or put to sleep or whatever, for being a dog. That's on you. You got to treat every dog, no matter how nice he is to you, like he's a vicious animal, okay, when it comes to him being around other people. Period, point blank, man. So, anyways, man, if the dog died, and I don't know if he did die, rest in peace to the dog. And if you can't handle, certain kinds of dogs, I wouldn't get them. The pits, the Rottweilers, I wouldn't get those kind of dogs if you can't, be responsible with them. I don't know what kind of dogs these were, though. So anyways, guys, be safe out there, man. Your boy, Chicago News. I'm out.